Um, Today we're going to be talking about ROI and tech and trying to help you folks through the help of these experts get some ideas about what you can do to get the best returns on your tech investments in the coming year. We have several experts here, and I'd like each of them to introduce themselves in turn. Suki, could you start off?
Sure. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. I'm in Canada, British Columbia. I've been with PacWest System Supplies for about 10 years. PacWest System Supplies has been around for 40 years and sells wall and ceiling to the industrial supply in commercial and residential. I work out of the head office, which also has Proline Construction in it. And Proline Construction sells more of the roofing and insulation, waterproofing systems. And the third one is Boyd Distributors, who sells to the lumber yards. We have about 21 locations between British Columbia, Alberta, and one in Winnipeg, around 550 employees. Yeah, I love being at PacWest. They've given me a great opportunity for growth. I started out as an accounts payable person to accounts payable manager, and here I am as a project manager for the past 4 years. And it's been wonderful working for the company as I've been able to grow for myself and help the company grow as well.
Yeah. So definitely not a tech geek, more just a regular person, it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Brent from the Bahamas. We probably have, by the way, the most geographically diverse group of participants I think that I've ever had in a webinar. Brent, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Craig. So my name is Brent Burrows, Vice President of Retail and Sales here at CBS Bahamas in Nassau. We're a large home improvement retailer, and we also deal a bit with project sales, special order products, high-end windows, doors, cabinetry, things of that sort. But we've got two locations here in Nassau, and we also sell to all of the family islands, thanks to our website and our e-commerce presence.
Excellent, excellent. And Christina, over to you.
Thanks. Thanks for having me today. So I'm Christina Hen. I'm a head of product for LBM and distribution at ECI. Been with the company a little bit over a year now, but 23 years in the ERP industry. And a fun fact is I also do a lot of leadership coaching and change management projects in addition to our regular day job as a product manager.
Excellent. So those are our three experts. We're going to start off by just giving you an idea of a few things that are going on out there. I am going to start up this presentation. Can you guys see the robot on the screen? Great. Uh, these are the people who are taking part today, and a copy of this presentation is going to be made available to you afterwards so that you'll have the email addresses and you can write specific questions to the group when they come along. Now, we all know that life today is very rough in construction supply. It's hard to make a lot of money. I say it's like being on a paddleboard because the only propulsion you get is what you get going forward. But that said, there are a lot of different tech opportunities going forward that people can take advantage of. And I want to try to talk about a few of them, and then we're going to go in depth with our panelists to talk about some of their favorite things that they've done recently. I've been to a number of conferences recently where they've been talking about the rise of digital shelf labels, things that you can interact with, colors, opportunities to do that. They can be a lot simpler, but they still can contain a lot of information, like not just the price and the SKU numbers and the like, but that QOH stands for quantity on hand. The QOO stands for quantity on order, so that if somebody comes up and says, well, the peg's empty, what have you got? You can even look there and know that you've got some stuff in the back. Robots are something that people have been talking about for a good while to track products on the shelf, try to see if the planograms are working, try to see if you are properly placing things. But those cameras that you're using already can already be put to work. You don't need to buy extra stuff. There are software packages that you can now attach to your security cameras that can provide information about who's coming into the store. They also can, if you know who are the bad people in your neighborhood, they also can identify when the bad people come in too. Item recognition is becoming more popular. This particular software is by a company that does work for Lowe's. And what it does is that as you're moving items across the checkout counter, it recognizes them. So if you have a hammer and a screwdriver, and you've recorded the hammer as a purchase, but the screwdriver isn't recorded as a purchase, it'll say, hey, stop, watch what's going on. There are some really interesting things too for those of you who are in the distribution side of business. Germany has a robotic pallet mover, which to me is just freaking astonishing what they can do in moving things around and get things from one place to another. Of course, everyone's talking about artificial intelligence, and I think you can view it in terms of construction supply in two steps. The first is that it's going to be your co-pilot, your helper, your aide. And then the question after that is, will it become your co-thinker and recommend ideas and give you stuff? And a good example of the co-pilot function is how artificial intelligence can bring together enormous amounts of data and compile a report for you that talks about the things you care about most and things you hadn't thought about lately. This is from an IBM display that I saw earlier this year in New York, where it's basically giving you an internal report. There also are examples of artificial intelligence that, such as with FairBuild, will go through contracts you have and identify places in which your contractor partner is screwing you over, and it will redline them and offer alternative language. There are programs you can use if you're doing takeoffs and other items in which you can compare what the designs are to the local building codes and then spot problems with the building codes much, much faster than if you just had to rely on your memory. Radio frequency ID is something I think in the distribution and warehouse management world that's going to really rise. The prices are going down. The labor costs it's all starting to come together. And the things you can do in terms of simple scanning and collecting large amounts of information very, very quickly can be pretty astonishing. There are programs that will answer the phone for you at night and sound just like a regular person. None of this artificial stuff that you hear from airlines and the like. I have seen this product flitch at work in a very, very crowded, noisy room. It picked up things perfectly. It's amazing. And there's little ways that you can adjust things, get better pictures, for example, and not have to hire a photographer. Accounts receivable certainly is one of those ways that you're hearing about stuff. Also using technology to help your people get a little bit smarter. For example, at Tractor Supply, they have a system which is sort of like Hey Siri, they call it Hey Gura, and you can ask it questions like, do we have any dog food that's good for dogs with sensitive stomachs? And it'll give you an answer and tell you where it is. So every employee gets to be that much smarter. The whole experience with online is getting more complicated because of artificial intelligence, and it was the big thing that everybody was talking about in New York City at the National Retail Federation event earlier this year. Because of artificial intelligence and advanced programs, you can have more personalized selling, more suggestive selling than ever before. The whole would you like fries with that hamburger notion. You can get more content online than ever before to answer people's questions. But you have to remember that search engines aren't mind readers, and there are differences in how these search engines work. And that has given rise to an entirely new form of technology. You've probably heard of search engine optimization. Now we have agentic commerce optimization, in which you basically present information in a way that the AI search agents will like, so that you will get your stuff shown when people are doing searches. Now, I have to warn you, none of this is going to work until you clean up your data. The owner of this store, by the way, his slogan is, it's all here somewhere, and you just can't get that way anymore. And of course, you have to worry about whether your staff has the right skills, and that's a particular question I'm going to be asking Christina about later on. And I know people are alarmed by the prospects of what artificial intelligence can do. They think it's going to take over the universe or have problems like that. But retailers are going ahead, and I don't think it should stop you either. I was just at an event last week in Orlando where a couple of leading hardware store executives, when they were giving advice, said you just can't be so scared into being frozen. You've got to keep forging ahead. You've got to be more scared of inaction than of taking action. And I think that's a lesson. So that's my summary of what I've been seeing around. Now let's go to the speakers. And Brent, I'm going to start with you. You had some things you wanted to show people that you've been doing lately that you think's getting some benefits for your company.
Yeah, so recently, within the past few months, we added the ability for our customers to see what's on hand real time at our Oracle distribution center while they're browsing our web store. So shout out to ECI Spruce e-commerce for giving us that capability. It's been quite the game changer. But this has been so important for us for two reasons, really. We're salvaging a lot of what have been lost sales thanks to back orders and special orders. So this screenshot here that you're showing is a good example of a back order, right? So if a customer is browsing our store online or physically in the store, and we only have, 6 of a product on the shelf, they can see on our website, on our online catalog, that there may be another 200 available in the Oracle distribution center. And that's a real-time inventory, for that present moment. And then they can order that additional amount and get delivery in as soon as 10 days. And I know, for you guys in the US, 10 days sounds like a lot, but for us here in the Bahamas, especially when you think about all the logistics involved, the imports, the tariffs, the shipping, 10 days is really quick. And then of course, when they order that stuff, our team will reach out and ask them if they want a partial delivery or wait till all the items arrive or whatever the case might be. And if you go on to the next slide, the second way that this tie-in with the distribution center is helping us is with what we call special orders. So now we can sell items that we'd never stock in our store. Either due to a lack of demand, a lack of space, the product not fitting in with our image or whatever the case might be. So, let's say for some reason a customer asked us for a log splitter, like you see in the pictures here. Well, people don't buy log splitters in the Bahamas very, very commonly, but we can very easily add them to our website. With just a few clicks, we can add, a few different options to the website. They'll be priced instantaneously with our non-stock pricing rules from the POS system. And then we could send the customers a link to purchase. And that's money in our pockets that we wouldn't have had otherwise. And again, those special order items, they'll arrive in about 10 days. So thanks to the back orders and the special orders on our shipment arrival days, we're usually seeing like a 25 to 40% increase in revenue on those days where we invoice out these orders when we clear a container. So, we clear, 1 container a week on average. That's a good bump in sales. It's actually, the response has been amazing, way better than we ever anticipated. So, that's a quite a cool enhancement that we've recently added. And then the second and last thing I'll touch on is our AI powered chat. Now we've had this for a few years now, since the early days of ChatGPT and when AI was just becoming mainstream. But recently it has just become so much better, so much quicker, and our customers rely on it heavily. Our staff relies on it heavily. The AI bot on the website is becoming aware enough to understand the context of the conversation. It knows when a customer is frustrated. It knows when it's not helping well enough and it needs to escalate something to one of our team members. It'll shoot us an email. It'll tell us if it's urgent or whatever the case might be. And so there's no frustration on our part. There's no frustration on the customer's part. And this bot is trained to upsell, close sales, and help customers. So we're quite happy with that, and it's saved us a ton of time from a customer support point of view as well. And it's available 24 hours a day, so you can't beat it really.
What's the software that you're using, the bot that you're running?
It runs on a platform called SiteGPT. So if you go to sitegpt.ai, you can get all that information. But again, it's one of those things where you only get out of it what you put into it. So you spend a good bit of time setting it up, feeding it all your information. It crawls our website once a week to pull in the latest product additions and remove things we may have discontinued or whatever the case might be. But yeah, it performs really well. And you spend some time training it. You notice when it gives incorrect responses, you tell it, hey, that was wrong. You should have said this instead. And after some time, it becomes a member of your team.
One of the things that I learned up at the NRF show is that a good way to sort of train your AI is to think of it in terms of perhaps frequently asked questions that you have. And once you answer those FAQs, it helps feed in.
Exactly. So, we do a good job with keeping the content fresh on our website. So we were able to give the AI a lot of like old blog posts, YouTube video transcripts, for example, from like DIY videos. I mean, just tons and tons of information. And of course, like you said, with the frequently asked questions, customers tend to ask the same things over and over. So as you train those responses and those answers, the AI really gets better and better and better.
Excellent. Okay, now let's go all the way across the continent and to a different kind of business, to Suki. And can you tell us about some of the things that you've been doing that you're particularly happy with, that with technology?
Yeah, for sure. For us, we started this technology roadmap 3 years ago. One of our main focuses was data. We wanted to make sure that our branches were making the right decisions based on the information you have at your fingertips. In order to do that, we had to build our data source. Basically, we connected to every third party or even our ERP system that we were using, and we put all our data in one data lake through Azure and built reports using Power BI. Now, once we had built the reports in Power BI, it was a challenge to get people to actually look at the data to make strategic decisions. Because a lot of the branch managers, there's 21 branch managers, and at head office, it was hard to just have one, hey, can I have this report? Can I have that report? So, which really pushed us to, hey, let's just put it through a data lake, put it through Power BI, and the data refreshes every 15 minutes. And now we're able to have, smart conversations with our branch managers and help them point out to directions of how much inventory they have. Sorry, just, yeah.
You want me
How
to
much
go forward now?
inventory
Okay.
No, just one slide back still. Sorry.
Okay, keep going. Okay, keep
No
going.
worries. So basically, they were like, okay, we know what's going on, but they weren't pinpointing what inventory they have too much of or what inventory is gonna become a problem, because our inventory volume is very high. So we wanted to make sure that we're keeping our costs down and make sure that we're carrying the correct product to make sure we have the proper turnaround. So the data itself helped a lot, but to drive the data culture, we had to start from top to bottom kind of thing and have quarterly meetings, make them, our branch managers, tell us what's the story at your branch. How does the data tell the story of what you physically see at the branches? That had a huge impact. And just very quickly, there was a very positive ROI on this, because it's not what I assume the data is. It's not what I assume what the operation should be and is at. It's this is what it is at. This is what you're looking at. This is the decisions you need to make off of. So that's
So the ROI consisted of having more products in stock, or not losing products along the way, or what was the ROI?
It was to make sure that we're carrying the right product at the right branches, and also to monitor that all costs as well. Like if there are overtime costs that we're not realizing, and why is that overtime cost happening? Are trucks coming in and out efficiently? Just overall operations was being reviewed as a full story to be able to put the ROI, validating data errors, preventing credit and rebills. They were just, every process now can be reviewed through this data.
Yeah, I should point out that QXO, which some of you may have noticed just today, purchased Kodiak Building Partners. When they bought Beacon last year, I think a lot of people thought that they were going to do, absolutely astonishing things. And one of the things they focused on first was just having products in stock, because they discovered that they were losing sales because the stuff wasn't around. They hadn't anticipated, they hadn't ordered properly. So definitely, Suki, this is something that even, $50 billion wannabe companies are doing exactly like you're doing.
Yeah. And then, sorry, next slide. For us was the second stage was we partnered with DQT, which is partnered with Spruce and ECI, is just like Amazon. We want to be able to provide notification to our customers and proof of delivery. The cost or the positive ROI was saying, hey, we did actually deliver that product, because a lot of times we would get calls from our Alberta location saying, hey, we didn't get the 5 bags of insulation that you dropped off because there's so much theft happening, or property damages that we didn't do that maybe another company that was delivering the material did. And we were able to prove ourselves, like through the concept of, here's a picture when we got the material to site, here's a picture of the material we delivered, and this is how we left the site. And then also some of the customers are actually smaller customers that are planning their days based on our notifications. Like, hey, we know we're scheduled for tomorrow. Now I don't have the delivery in the morning. I can schedule the next group to come in, drywall's delivered. The drywallers can come in by afternoon and start working on the project. So huge positive ROI for us for customer notifications, proof of delivery, cost savings that way. So
yeah, I also like how you've got this on a cell phone, and because that's how your customers live these days.
Exactly. So the text notification goes and an email notification goes. So with the text message, it's just a quick, your order's here, its order's being delivered.
Yeah.
With the email, they get the full details of what was delivered, pictures included as well.
Yeah. Suki, we already have a question for you. What's the name of the software you're using for shipping and tracking?
It's DQT.
DQT.
DQT Technologies.
Okay.
It's partners with ECI Spruce right now.
And does that automatically attach to Spruce documents we're being asked, or do you have to manually do that?
So so the data flows through from Spruce into DQT. So it's very automatic. So no hand holding of no data entries or anything like that. So data flows from Spruce to DQT, and then you can schedule right there in DQT without any data entry at all. And then once you take the pictures are attached. The only step we do take is we actually download the pictures at a PDF and upload it back in Spruce as well. So that we, at any point, whoever doesn't have access to DQT can open up these documents in Spruce and see the proof of delivery as well.
Yeah. I'm sure the geeks are going to figure out how to solve that problem in the near future,
100%, yes.
As we go along. And let's see, were you done with that slide? Do you want to go to the next one?
The third slide is we wanted to become more aware of our safety, of our drivers' safety on the roads for everybody. So we have installed cameras in our trucks now, and this is also through DQT, where we can coach our drivers for bad behavior instead of just disciplining or finding out, a month later there was an accident, or 3 weeks later, or just, God forbid, if we ever to hit a bus full of kids, like that's a huge insurance issue. So this was a cost up front, but for us, safety is crucially important for us. So we want to make sure that we are training our drivers to ensure that they're wearing their seatbelt, they're not, running a red light, and just all overall safety and coaching our team. So that's got implemented all through all our 21 branches last year summer. So we're very fond, like texting, huge, like literally 6 times more likely to cause an accident than drinking alcohol. So we wanted to make sure our drivers weren't doing that and making sure we are not adding more to the unsafe roads that are already out there.
Yeah. Is it the Heisenberg principle or something like that the act of being watched changes how you behave? So maybe the having the cameras alone,
and also it just sometimes you do things without thinking that, oh, it's okay, it's just for a second, right? Yeah. So we're able to remind them through these alerts saying, hey, you know what, we get it, you texted, please don't do it, because if it's your family that's in the vehicle in front and you are one of our trucks rear end, you won't like that. So let's not put anybody at risk. So another technology we implemented this year or last year.
That's great. Hey, I want to thank the first question coming in, and that was great. So please ask more questions as we go along. And now we're over to you, Christina. Your background is so interesting in how you combine technology with people issues. And can you talk a little bit about the companies that you've seen both in your current lives and your past lives that figured out how to get a benefit from technology after they've spent the money on implementing it?
Yeah. And it's interesting because we always talk about technology, but we don't talk a lot about the problems that technology is solving. And I think one of the biggest challenges is to figure out the right way to address the people with it, as in it's not about the technology, it's about the problem that you're trying to solve. What is the best way to solve this problem? And so it's a process, right? It's a mindset. And with the generational change also happening, and COVID really escalated this topic as well, with more people embracing and taking a risk on technology. And therefore, but still people are afraid of, data breaches, performance, and a lot of other issues. But we really have to talk about how do we solve the problem And why is it important? What is the value that's being added? Because a lot of time, what is it? Are we trying to avoid errors? Are we trying to communicate faster? What are the things, the actual issue at hand? Yes, sometimes it's skill set. What does that mean? Maybe we need to make our technology easier to use for that matter, or more training is required. Sometimes you can't always avoid complexity in some topics, but I really believe that it's a staged approach, as in you start with, evaluating the problem, looking at the, and we call it like an ECI. We even call AI. We just don't call it AI. We call it practical AI because we want to look at it from a practical point of view. And I think that's the other thing that people really appreciate if you share the practicality of a solution with them, and don't talk so much about technology, but just what problem are you solving? And get people involved very early on in the decision making is a really important step there too. To show them it's not scary. ChatGTP is doing a wonderful job at getting AI mainstream for us, all of us, right? Everybody's
Right.
profiting from those things. But I think, and then I think select solutions that are easy to adopt, because that's another thing. People don't want to sit for a week and try to figure things out. That's not the world we're in anymore.
No, I think that does make a lot of sense. This session is devoted to payback for technology, but perhaps we probably should step back a second and ask ourselves, how do you even measure success? How do you even measure the payback? And Brent, when you guys think about the money that you've spent, how do you determine whether you spent the money wisely?
Um, I think for us, at least right now, we're looking at it as more of a return on time, a return on our time. At the end of the day, I think, that sort of boils down to dollars and cents anyway, right? I mean, for us as managers and as executives, the less time we spend putting out fires or dealing with the day-to-day nuances, the more we can spend on the big picture ideas and the growth, right? So, we've really put a lot of effort into tools and processes that simplify things, streamline things, save a lot of time. And then the other side of it is the customers love the self-service nature of this tech that we introduce, because it also allows them to get by quicker, and more importantly, it keeps them coming back. So yeah, I think right now at least we're looking at it as a function of time savings, and even going back to like our back orders and special orders that I would have spoke about earlier. Like yes,
Yeah.
we that has proven to be a great return from a revenue point of view for us and from converting more sales and whatnot. But at the same time, our special order and back order process before was incredibly manual. That was a lot of back and forth, a lot of manual order processing and paperwork and stuff like that, and that's just all gone away thanks to the website. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
Christina, this does raise a question in my mind. Is measuring your employees' time usage going to be increasingly important in the future? Because that's one of the ways that you're going to figure out whether this tech is paying off. I get the feeling a lot of people don't measure what their employees do and how much time they spend doing such and such.
They don't typically necessarily measure the time in itself, but they do measure like errors, for example, in some. So and I would assume that's a direct. There's a direct relationship there too, right? And but also what they're spending their time on, right? Especially the owners or
Yeah.
the executives of an organization, they notice the difference, I think, because they might be able to do more analysis strategy rather than solving day-to-day problems. I think that's where we see technology really helping with more automation and just making everybody's life easier, and happy employees are also more productive. I think that's a really important point as well. And by taking some of the stress off of them from uh, work that could be automated makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that does make sense. I would also add that I've been fascinated that sales reps frequently are judged only by how many dollars they bring in. And nobody really asks, how are you using your time? And is there potential that you could actually make more money if you took advantage of certain technology tools? And so that's another place where I don't think people are really measuring time.
Mhm.
Now, Suki, you've already said in a sense that you're looking at time, but you're also looking at mistakes and errors and safety. So I presume those things all figure in when you're trying to
100%.
figure out whether it's worthwhile?
Yeah, 100%. Even with Christine's point or your point as well for sales team, we've actually now are pushing our sales team to use the data more in preparation when they're going to see the customer. Very quick analytical analysis of, hey, what categories has this customer dropped off on, or what months does he drop off on in sales? And being upfront with that and knowing your information going into a customer is so much more powerful than assuming information. Even with our managers meetings through data where one of the branch managers like, oh, I have 3 new customers coming on, and they went on board and they were like, okay, does that data show that? Oh, I actually realized in preparation of this, one of the customers said they were going to start buying, hasn't been buying. So just the time of that analysis pointed out that a customer that he had thought he had onboarded hadn't onboarded yet, right? So just having that information at your fingertips is huge for us for time saving, and it's creating revenue as well.
So are you telling me that it was easy as pie to get all your employees onto tech changes, or what did you have to do
No,
to win them over?
we were learning as we were trying to train our staff as well, because technology is a huge, hard change, and most branch managers are more like doers. They'll jump on a forklift, jump on a truck where it's needed, whereas sitting back and analyzing your data is a lot more difficult, in my opinion. So getting them on board was first initially, hey, we're asking you to do the task. Come meet with us every quarter. Just talk about your data. Then it came to the point where, okay, we're not telling you what your data is telling us. You tell us the story of the branch, but it has to come from top to bottom. So management has to drive it home in order to make it efficient. But at the same time, we were also doing the analysis with them to also so that they take something away from the meetings that, hey, did you notice actually this of your brand? Okay, that I didn't see. I'm going to work on that kind of thing. So now they can plan for every quarter kind of thing and prepare for what they've been working on, what they plan to work on, and what was successful. And we share that information across all branches to help one another. Like, hey, this branch was more efficient in doing it this way versus this way. So, transparency with all the branches' successes.
Yeah, sometimes that'll wake up some people, I know. Folks, don't be shy about asking questions. And I'm going to turn to Brent next. Suki was just talking about it has to start at the top. Brent, I don't think you're at the top, right? You're not the owner of the company. You're not the president of the company. So how do you feel about that phrase that everybody uses, that it has to start at the top? Is that really true?
How do I put this? Yeah, I mean, it yes and no. So I'm a couple spots removed from the top, but in terms of the tech adoption and usage, yeah, I'm the top. So we're fortunate enough that I guess our president and our owner don't need to be involved with the tech and stuff, but that's good for them, right? They can kind of just sit back and let things go about. But yes, you need somebody in some sort of elevated position to really drive the adoption. And that's not just for for the staff, but that's for the customers as well, right? So a big part, we spend a lot of time training not just the staff on how to use these new tools, but our customers as well. Here in the Bahamas, we're a bit behind the times when it comes to tech adoption. So a lot of people are stuck in their ways. They're afraid to try new things. The internet and online shopping and things are still a bit scary or unfamiliar to them. So, especially when we first launched the website, I mean, there's just so much time spent, hand holding, walking people through different processes, and sometimes it's quick, sometimes it takes a while, but if the tech is good and if it's right, there'll at some point be this aha moment where it clicks and the benefits register.
That issue of customers having flip phones is something that I hear all over the country. So, and in your country, and I presume up in Canada too. You just said you have to walk people through. Were there any particular tricks or things you did or things that were common that you found you normally had to focus on in order to
Yeah, I
walk
mean,
people
there
through?
was, there's a lot of stuff. For example, when we were trying to onboard a lot of our contractors to our website, because we've got some great tools for contractors and we want them to start using them and it makes their lives easier. Well, we had a desk set up in our store where we basically told our existing contractors who had in-store accounts, we said, hey, sit with us for 10 minutes. We're going to give you a $20 gift card. Let's get you set up online. Let's show you how to use this stuff.
Ah,
And they're a bit apprehensive, but then once you show them and once they see the benefits, they're like, wow, this is terrific. When you look at our credit account customers, every month we send out our statements. Instantly, you get all these emails back. Oh, I need a copy of this invoice. Oh, I want to pay on this, blah, blah, blah. And our response would be, hey, we don't do that manually anymore. Let us come visit you or give us a call. Let's set up your account online, give you your online access. All of these things are now self-service. You can do it
Yeah.
yourself. And of course, at first, some people, they kick and fuss at that. But again, you show them and they're like, oh, wow, you mean I can just do this myself without bothering you 24 hours a day? And then it works.
Yeah.
So a lot of time and investment and just, like I said, holding people's hands and getting them to have that aha moment.
Yeah. Christina, you talk to dealers all over the country. Are you hearing any interesting techniques that people are using either to get their customers on board or to get their management on board?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to what Brent and Suki were describing. I think that motion is everywhere now. I mean, it's solving for avoiding friction to remove any type of issues. That's where a lot of time technology is helping a lot of people. And so basically, showing their management, their customers, how technology can help make their lives easier. And as I mentioned earlier, I really believe with the technology that we had to use during COVID, that made a big step in we made a big step in that direction to support that. And the mindset of the people are changing. I have one customer also say, one of my biggest challenges is I have employees who are in their retirement working part-time in our stores, and then I have a whole bunch of under 25-year-olds that are during high school or college working in the stores. So those are very different user groups. So, and the ones address technology better than the others, and sometimes they can even learn from each other. I mean, I go to my kids all the time if I need something on my cell phone. Why? I think there's another opportunity there that different age groups can help each other out to bridge that gap.
Yeah, I wish I could type with two thumbs. That's my great lack in life. Um, Suki, let's talk about the future a little bit. What's coming down the pike, or already is available, but it's just not installed yet at your place, that you're most excited about incorporating into your company's operations? What's the next thing? Is it the robots? Is it the AI? Is it something else?
There's two topics we're working on this year. One is automating our credit application, so onboarding customers and doing a credit check. So just to make it more smooth and faster. Right now, it's a paper. Someone fills it out, signs it, and someone has to go online and do all the checking. We want to automate that. That's going to be our big project this year to start off with, so that it removes the human from wanting to do all the research and credit checks. We'll have a AI agent kind of doing that for us and then spitting out this is a recommended score, credit up based on the credit review. And then the second piece is we're going to work closely with ECI is Copilot. What we would like to do eventually is, hopefully in the near future, is have every department have an assistant. So we're not replacing any staff with any of these AI agents. It is to make them more, hey, you didn't have the time to analyze this data, but here's the things I noticed from the data that happened yesterday or the day before, little notifications. So it won't be sitting in, like, it'll be a little agent. As soon as they open up the computer, there's a little agent sitting outside the computer as their assistant. As I said, analyzing the data or analyzing emails. Hey, you promised you were going to respond to this, or this was due. Like overall, just a personal assistant to every department is what I'd like to see. Like purchasing department, HR, sales department. So it's not just embedded in Power BI or just focusing on data, but overall helping the branch become more efficient.
Now let's go back to the credit application software and the credit check. Is that an outside service that you're hiring to provide this software, or are you trying to train artificial intelligence to do it for you?
So we've hired a Power Apps programmer this year who's going to build this out in DocuSign and then do his magic in the back end, where this system is going to go look at all the API connections, pull all the data together, and put it out as a dashboard for our team to review and to finalize the credit application on.
So you've actually put a programmer on your staff.
Yeah.
Okay. And all these little AI assistants they have, are they all going to get individual names like, Frank and Julie and Serge or something like that?
Right now, actually, we haven't thought of any names, but it'd be like, right now it's just Packers Buddy is what we started with.
Yeah. Um, I got a question here. Is the Copilot feature within Spruce something ECI is working toward?
Christine, did you
Christina?
want me to answer that or?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so we have demoed some of that platform actually last week, and I'm very excited about it. So it is, you can ask live questions, you can ask inventory questions. So you can choose the topic like purchasing, sales, operations, and it will guide you to shorten down, hey, is this what you're looking for? And you can select the questions from there or further have a conversation with it. And you can also check within their Cognetics dashboards to what analysis it's already done based on the dashboard you're looking at.
Excellent.
I don't know if you want to add to that, Christine.
No, you answered it perfectly. Thanks, Suki.
Great. Brent, what are you excited about? What's next or what's coming down the pike that you're looking forward to?
Um, I have in the theme of continuing to make things self-service, I have an idea for a AI powered like a vision scanner. You know how when you go in stores they have the barcode price checkers around the store. So it'd be like a price scanner, but instead of scanning a barcode, it recognizes the product and it'll give you the pricing and the product info. And then on the other end, you can hold up a product that maybe it doesn't sell in the store and it can tell you like, hey, this is the closest thing or the replacement part or some other information around it. So it'd be like, fixed scanners around the store, but also maybe a web app you can access on your phone. So it's technically doable. It just needs doing. So
Yeah. How do you
that's
get
kind of
from here to
something where.
there? I mean, do you guys have a programmer? Is this something you can buy off the shelf?
So we do have a programmer on staff part-time, a developer, and then a lot of what we have been doing with things that we develop ourselves is that, like myself, would give it a go using a tool like Replit, which is like a coding assistant that will build something for you, and that'll kind of be like our proof of concept, right? Like, can we get something together using Replit, using the AI, just get it made to see how it would look, how it would work, and then is this feasible to throw more money and hours at? So yeah, we as we scaled up the website and got more deep into different things, we brought a programmer on to help us out. But yeah.
Um, Gang, I'm going to go backwards a little bit. I want you to imagine that you have no e-commerce, you have no online systems. You're doing your inventory manually. Your sales reps just have, big grease boards that they're working with and the like. And so I'm going to give you some choices. And the question is, what would you recommend that beginning dealer start with first? Would you recommend they start with e-commerce, online stores, that is, some sort of bill payment system and tracking your bills? That's number two. Number three, would you recommend they start with inventory controls? Or fourth, would you recommend they start with some sort of customer relationship management system? So those are your four choices: online e-commerce, bill payment and presentment and collection, inventory, CRM. Brent, you're on the screen right now. So of those four, what would you recommend that they start with first?
Um, e-commerce has always been my baby, so I'll have to go with e-commerce. But I think a lot of people get turned off at the idea of seeing these complex, complicated websites like our own, and they think, oh, that's too much, that's too much to handle. But it doesn't have to start like that. I always encourage people to start with what I call hybrid e-commerce. Set up a simple payment portal. Let people call in, get a quote from you, and then pay on that quote with your payment portal, get a gauge of their interests, maybe add like a PDF catalog online, something simple, let people make payments based off that. There's very easy, scalable ways to do it instead of diving like all head first at once, and just take little steps here and there, and before you know it, you'll grow up to something nice and big. I mean, back in 2019, we had no e-commerce presence. We only started mid 2020, and it's only been 5 years, and now we've got like something pretty complex and great. So just take your time.
Okay. Suki, once again, online store, bill payments, inventory, sales help, sales, customer relationship management. What if you were beginning a rank beginner, where would you start?
Two topics I would focus on is the customer portal. because you can build a customer portal on a platform that can become e-commerce. And that's actually exactly what we've done, because we're not ready for the e-commerce side, only because inventory, if you don't have accuracy in inventory, displaying it on a e-commerce could be costly, because you could lose trust and faith in customers of that, hey, you said there's 5, I ordered 5, now I'm not getting the 5 because you actually don't have it because inventory isn't accurate. Exactly for those reasons, we haven't moved over to e-commerce platform. Also because our customer orders can be very customized. But customer portal, build it on an e-commerce platform so that you can move next stage and then focus on inventory while you are building on the customer portal at the same time.
Okay. Christina, we've got 2 votes right now for bill presentment and collections. Are you voting that way too, or do you have another thing that you think they should start with first?
I tend to agree to both of Suki's and Brent's statement, also because of the fact that starting small and growing with the solutions is, I think, key also to build employees' confidence as well as customers' confidence in a solution. So with the approach of, an account, a receivables portal or a customer portal, as Suki mentioned, and starting like that and then growing, testing it out, testing the waters, I think that's a super approach. Yeah.
That's great. Now, Brent, I want you to think back to when you started. Were there any particular hurdles that you had to clear that maybe you didn't expect would be a hurdle, but turned out to be?
Yeah, so actually to the point Suki just brought up, right? The inventory, your inventory catalog, when you are only focused on in-store selling, nobody can actually see your POS. So you don't have, nice product titles. You don't have all your products organized into the proper groups and categories or sections or however you manage it. And then also the inventory itself, like Suki said, if you are presenting something online and they can see how much you have on hand, that better be accurate. So a lot of time did go into the inventory cleanup and also the customer account cleanup for the same reason, is that when you're turning all these accounts on for online access, you need to be positive they have the right settings for when people are accessing and self-servicing these accounts outside of business hours. So I'd say, the start with cleaning up your existing POS system, whatever direction you go with e-commerce, it's going to be tied into your POS. You want to make sure that that's nice and organized. And again, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. When we started our e-commerce or our website, we, put a lot of effort into, oh, how are we going to organize all our products? What should we do? And then one day I got the bright idea to just copy the Home Depot's, category structure, because I was like, well, if they did it this way, this must be the right way to do it. So we just did that, and, easy.
Okay. Easy button. Suki, when you think back several years ago to when you guys were getting first involved and you had a much different job, can you remember the surprising hurdle you had to get over in order to move forward?
Is first of all is just learning how to collect the data and putting it into a one central location. So we actually ended up hiring a third party because I had to interview all different places because it was all new to us. How do we get started? So interviewing and demoing lots and lots of third party programs out there, to then partnering with the company to be able to say, okay, they can guide us and teach us to move forward with this product. So our data lake was our biggest invention or our biggest investment for us at first. And then the second piece to that would be the buy-in from the users to believe and validate the data with us. Because sometimes if they don't agree to the data, they may not like what they're seeing. And getting them to believe that we are validating, we are focusing on accuracy and buy-in of using the data was a huge hurdle for us.
I would say that probably being consistent with how you handle the data probably also is a factor. I know that when it comes to things like on time in full, standard measurement fill rates, that people sometimes play games with that to boost their numbers. So you have to almost be a cop.
Yeah. So just like, no, your inventory is at it, what it is. Like, validating the data, it was a huge thing for us for sure.
Is what is going on. Christina, when you think back and you think about all the customers you're dealing with, some of whom are rank beginners, what are you finding surprises you in terms of what they have to get over in order to really get going?
The complexity of the data, as with the catalogs and things like that, which feeds right into the e-commerce as well as the central all the ERPs, where how the price changes impact their daily life and the workload they have. That really threw me for a loop when I joined ECI to see that how much friction that can actually cost our customers.
Interesting. Yeah. Hey, we got a question here for all of you. What would you like to see from your manufacturer partners in terms of helping you as you get going? Brent, can you start with that? What would you like? What do you wish manufacturers would do to help you?
In the sense of manufacturers, I'll assume he's talking about like our vendors and who we
Yeah,
purchase from,
vendors.
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
vendors. And it could be
we
lumber, or somebody else.
right. So they need to have the the enhanced product data. That's the easiest thing for us. Orgel has in the last couple of years stepped up tremendously with the quality of their product catalog. That, back 2 years ago, if we were adding a product to our website, we'd have to build that product from scratch. We'd have to Google that product, find all the information, the pictures, put it all together.
Yeah.
Orgel has done a good job of having all that information in one spot now. We can add a product to our website with a couple clicks, and most times we don't have to mess with it. So I'd like to see more manufacturers and more vendors, get on that same accord. For example, our who we buy our screws and fasteners from. That's thousands of products. I'd love to just be able to turn on that entire catalog with one click. So that's the best thing for us is just the clean, nice, and rich product data.
Yeah, and I've heard from other people who've said if you're a vendor, you can't give them enough pictures. You need
Right.
to put
Yeah.
in things like material safety data sheets.
Exactly. And that's where we set ourselves apart. Like I said, the Bahamas is still pretty behind the curve when it comes to e-commerce, but there's a few large players now here, and we set ourselves apart because we have our product listings have all the information. We have tons of attributes and specs, descriptions, pictures, the whole deal. And
Yeah.
even, if we pull a product from the Orgel catalog and it seems a little bit scanty, we'll add to that as well. You can never have too much information when people are making a buying decision behind a computer screen.
Yeah, and I brought up frequently asked questions before.
Mhm.
That's something that a vendor can do. Suki, what would you love the vendors to do to make your life easier?
And just the same thing as you mentioned, kind of the data and the spec sheets. That's been huge for us because we have to provide that to our customers. So right now, someone has to go to the website, search the website, download the files, and send them. So if they could just provide that in a quick, like, here's one page you go to, and here's all the links
Right.
for the spec sheets, or hey, you ordered this material, here's the spec sheets with that order notification.
Yeah.
That would save us a huge time for sure.
Yeah. Now, Christina, the person who asked this question actually is involved in the lumber side of the world, and I'm
Okay.
told that actually getting consistency on how you describe lumber and getting product data is like, the murkiest world in the world. I mean, is that what you're agreeing with that?
I agree I totally with that. But we are using AI to help us with that now too, right? And we have AI agents who help us refine descriptions, identify errors and things like that. So there is hope in the near future, and working obviously with our partners like Orgel and others will help, refine the data that it's more consumable immediately. And that's, I think, where the big request is that the individual work to have a presentable catalog and updated pricing is a lot of effort. But technology can really help a lot there.
Yeah. And I would say too, vendors also can write frequently asked questions as well that I think can really speed things along. We have 4 minutes to go. So while we're seeing if anybody has a last second question from the field, um, I guess, Suki, I guess the question I'd ask is, when you think about all the effort that you put in, has it been worth it?
100%. Like for us, as soon as we start building our first Power BI report and we presented it to management, one of the managers looks at, the contract, and he was able to point out within seconds that contract price is not correct in the ERP system. Like it was that quick turnaround on some of this stuff. So we've got finally the aha moments with the branch managers. Like they finally understand the value of having these quarterly meetings, having the data to validate with the cameras. We've been able to help our drivers understand safety and be able to take their side on the story versus, well, we have to assume your side of the story is true. So 100% it's been beneficial for our company.
And Brent, what do you think, when all is said and done, is the biggest benefit you got from all this work you've been doing over the last 5 years?
For us, it's just growing the customer base, the exposure, having that online presence. Again, we're fortunate because there's not that many people selling online in the Bahamas. So there's hundreds, if not thousands, of Google searches where we're the top few links for products. If you search for this product Bahamas, we come up. So it's been fantastic. I would like to comment on Ellen's not really a question, but that statement she put there.
Do you want to read it out loud?
Yeah, so Ellen said, thank you all. I'm in the process of doing due diligence and selecting an ERP for upgrading from my legacy software, and you made me feel more excited about it now, whereas before I felt overwhelmed. I'd just like to say that we've been in the past 6 years since I've been here, we've been on like 4 different ERP systems, 2 different e-commerce platforms. I promise I do not get paid by ECI or Spruce, but I am their biggest fan. It could not be easier to go with Spruce and Spruce e-commerce. The two things just work seamlessly together. Do not go with a website platform that's from a different vendor than your ERP system. It is going to be a nightmare. The two will never work together. They will constantly point fingers at each other. Find an all-in-one solution. It's just the easy way to do it.
Yeah. And for those of you who are using the other services, that's great too. Christina,
Yeah.
the one thing that does come also from what Brent said is the notion that you guys have been promoting of the endless aisle. The notion that
Yes,
you can sell a lot more than just what's physically available in your store.
correct. Yes. And because people are looking for ways to increase their revenue, right? Expand their customer base, and e-commerce is a simple way if you have a managed solution. And the integration, and we also, there's services out there too that help with some of that
Right.
to manage it.
We've reached the end, folks. I have placed back on the screen the speakers, and you will see their email addresses at the bottom. If there was a question you would like to reach out to any of these particular people, scribble down their email addresses, but we also will be sending the slides to you later on. This was a fantastic session. I am really glad that we were able to help some people out there. And I thank the participants for providing that advice and that comfort and the ideas of how to succeed. So thank you all. I am going to stop the share now and close out. Thank you very much and take care. Bye-bye.